Well, hey there. I thought we'd do something a little bit different. This weekend I came across some news that Ford introduced the Ford Transit Trail. So this is going to be a transit that's a lot more ready to build out as an adventure van. Already the Transit with the all-wheel drive has been super popular. Transits, if you order one, you can get the swivel seats, and you can get, there's a number of things that you can get tailored to the Transit, kind of to be that adventure van. So some of this was already available, but they've kind of gone to the next level, and it makes sense. I think if you see a lot of the Sprinters that are being ordered for adventure vans, they're all kind of coming with that more jacked up look and a little bit more aggressive. So I think Ford is kind of falling in line with that, and it should be a pretty popular package. Again, this is new. I don't think these are out yet, and I'm guessing that this is available if you were to go and place an order. I don't know what Ford lead times are right now, like what they're doing here, so let's run through it. Right off the bat, when you look at the van, you can just tell it has a more aggressive stance to it. I think mainly because of the wheel arches, the fender flares just have a more aggressive look to it, a more off-road look. And so you're seeing that as you're going down their website. Obviously, the front grille kind of has more of that Raptor look to it, which I'm a fan of. I think it's a really good look. So it looks like one of the big things that they've done is they've added a body lift. Now, I want to pay attention to that because a body lift is a lot different than a suspension lift. So they're saying 3.5 inches. So if you think of like a 2x4, it's about that high. What they've done is, my assumption is anyways, they've added spacers in between the frame of the van and the body of the van. So this doesn't affect the suspension, the way the van drives or handles, and it doesn't affect how much clearance is under the van. It only changes how high the body is off of the ground. So it's going to obviously be a higher step in. For those of you that the height of a van is already kind of a concern, you probably wouldn't want this without some other steps added. So 3.5 inches is pretty sizable, and definitely on suspension lifts, it would be a large expense to do a 3.5-inch suspension lift. Now there are suspension lifts available, and I'm guessing those would still be possible to put on the van if you wanted to increase the clearance under the van, so under the frame, under the drivetrain. If that's what you're needing because you're wanting to go more off-road, the body lift isn't really going to help you. It will a little bit for your approach and departure angles, but it's not going to help you so much for how rough of a road you can go over, how big of rocks or ruts you can go through. But then they also added what they call track width, so that means that they actually space the tires out. And that's pretty cool. So to increase that's going to increase your stability. It's going to increase, definitely off-road. It's going to give you just a more stable, ride as you're on undulating terrain. But with a wider track just means that the van just got all that much bigger. Now, it's still within the mirrors. It's still going to fit in all the same places, but it's just going to take up a little bit more room. So it's going to take up a little bit more room in the driveway or parallel parking. It's going to, just take up more room even on a campsite and things like that. It is just going to be a bit bigger van, but I think it's going to pay off in looks and in handling. I'm guessing it's going to feel pretty good and pretty stable. It looks like they've put some same size wheels. They just have an alloy wheel that they've developed for the Transit, and then they've put a slightly larger tire. They're saying it's a 30.5 inch. That's not too much bigger than the stock, but it is a little bit meatier. And then there are some things that you can do to the Transit to put even a larger tire. I think you can go up to like a 31, 32 inch tire if you do some trimming on the front, and that's where you would need probably a small suspension lift if that's what you're going for. But these are all things that you pay for in the kit, is from what I'm reading here. Engine is their famed 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6, so that's the same as they've had. I'm sure they keep working on it. That's a real popular motor. Dual AGM batteries and an optional extended fuel range tank. Those are all right. The dual AGM batteries, honestly, this is one of those that I know is common in the packages and has been for the last couple of years. Ever since Ford kind of went to custom ordering of the Transit, and I've seen it in packages. I find that not really all that beneficial because, first of all, they're AGM, so that's like kind of an older lead acid technology that, yes, they're sealed. AGM is absorbed glass mat. So it's about as good as you could get before they came out with lithium-ion batteries, but almost all of these vans, when they get built out, have a separate battery system for the build-out for what I call the house. And so we don't really need dual batteries. That would just be for the starter, for the engine, and for all the things that are kind of hooked to the front of the van. And so I see dual batteries up there is really not all that beneficial. They also sell, I think they put in a different alternator. Again, with lithium-ion batteries, they charge so efficiently. Just a standard alternator is going to top off the starter battery and then feed the house battery. So any drives that are over 30 minutes or so are actually going to get a real good charge into that house battery if it's hooked up that way. So I don't see that as like a huge win, but it's not a bad thing. One of the things that I don't see that as a big win, but again, not a bad thing to have dual batteries. It's going to make it more likely that you wouldn't ever have a dead battery, but I just think that we always add batteries into the house anyways, and I like to treat them separate. Extended fuel range tank, that's always a good thing if that's what you need. I don't know what the range is on the standard tank, but if you're looking to really get out there, if you had a furnace that's also using that gasoline, then extended range is going to not be a bad thing. Let's see, what else we got? They talk about their tires. It's a Goodyear Wrangler Workhorse All-Terrain. I'm not familiar with the tire, but I'm sure it's good. One thing I noted when I watched the video that Ford put out is they talk about, and it's covered under warranty. And that's true. Most of the van is covered under warranty anyways, even if we build it up. I'm not doing anything. But what it means is things like your tires are under the Ford warranty. So instead of your tire warranty being with a local tire shop or someone else, it just means your tire warranty is with Ford. So it kind of does put more things in Ford's camp when dealing with warranty. It talks about the all-wheel drive. As we know, we've had that available in the Transit for some time. I'm a fan of all-wheel drive systems. I like to just know that it's there all the time. They talk about the grill, the new grill. I like the new grill. I think that's a pretty good look. I love those amber lights in there. They started doing that with the Raptor, and we've seen a lot of copies. Toyota does it now. Dodge does it now. I like that. I don't think it's required for licensing or road rules, but it looks good, and I am a fan. You'll see it on some of the rigs that we're building here. I'm adding that into the grills because it's just a good look. So, fan of that. And then they talk about they have some photos of some of the new trim. The wheel arches, those are pretty cool looking. Of course, they had to widen the wheel arches because they widened the whole width of the drivetrain on this. So that's looking all right. Rock slider style steps. So I think that's, do note that it says slider style. So they made them look like a slider, but they're still just they're a step. But what they're saying there is rock sliders, if it's a true rock slider, is those are engineered and designed to actually take the weight of the vehicle and make it to where if you were to hit a rock or a log or a ditch or something like that, it's not going to bend, it's not going to hit your body. It's actually going to take the weight of the vehicle and put it on that slider and pivot off of it. When you have just a normal step or running board, those are not designed for that. They're usually made out of a thinner gauge aluminum or sometimes steel, and they're bolted to the body itself. They tend to not be bolted to the frame, and so it's not a true slider, but it has a good look, and so it's a slider style side step. But I'm actually hoping that these are available in the aftermarket. Attention DIYers and van lifers, Transit Trail is designed specifically to be easy to configure and customize yourself through our extensive network of expert modifiers. I'll have to look into that. I've never reached out to Ford to see if we can be a part of their system, so I'll have to do that. But I think, as we know, the cargo van is just a blank slate, and I think they're just putting words to that. There's nothing different about this van as far as that goes that I can see. And then they've got some technology that they've added. Again, I'm sure this is available on any of their vans, not just the Trail, but it looks like, as with all cars, they've increased the size of the screen, just the infotainment area. Looks like that. Yeah, and then swivel seats. So I'm a huge fan of this. So, I have videos on installing swivels, and I've been I'm always saying how the swivel seat is the best, one of the best upgrades you can do in a van. The fact that the manufacturers are doing this on their end, I actually love that. Part of it is liability. There's a lot of liability when it comes to seatbelts and safety. These seats have airbags in them, the side airbags, they have sensors in them. So the fact that Ford and ProMaster, or Ram ProMaster, and Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, that this is an option from the factory, I think is a huge win. And I'd say if you have the option to do that, I definitely think that that's a bonus and something that I would recommend. And again, back to that warranty thing, not only is the liability under the manufacturer, but also the warranty. So if there's ever an issue with that seat, it's something that they will take care of. So I see that as a huge win. It looks like another thing that Ford has done is added the option of installing a max fan. So that's my favorite fan. I use it on all the builds that I can. So that's pretty cool that they're making that an option. Not a huge, whether they do it or an installer does it or even you do it, I don't see the max fan as being a huge win for them. But at the same time, again, the fact that they're doing it and covering it under warranty, that's one hole in your van, one big hole in your van that Ford is willing to cover. So there is something to that. Now, granted, if you were here and you had me install a fan, am I going to cover it? Yeah, I'm gonna cover in warranty the fact that it's not going to leak, and the fan's going to be covered under the fan's warranty and stuff. So there's coverage anyways. If you're a do-it-yourselfer though, you don't have that. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer looking at this van, letting Ford cut this hole, this 14 by 14 hole in the roof of your van, might not be a bad thing. So what they charge for it though, I'm not sure. They have an optional auxiliary fuse panel. Again, this would only be if you are wanting to use those dual AGMs that are under the driver's seat as your power system. I would recommend that you don't. I would recommend that you put in a standalone system that allows you to run whatever electrics you determine. But for some people, they don't feel the need to have much of an electrical system. So maybe running off of the stock starter batteries is going to be fine for you. Let's see, keyless entry. Ford's been doing that for a long time. I remember Ford's when I was a kid had the keyless touchpad entry. I think that there's pros and cons. They say you can leave your keys in your car. I would feel pretty weird about leaving my keys in the car and trusting that the keypad was going to work for me when I got back from a long hike or something. So I like it. I think it does allow for access into the van without the keys, so that's cool. But for me. That's a standard Ford product that they've had for a long time. And then they talk about just having USB. So that, I don't see really anything more here that's new. And then, okay, so here's the technology. They just talk about the fact that they've got their Sync 4 system. It's got a Wi-Fi hotspot. So again, this is all stuff that's been available with Ford with their Sync system. And so nothing new, but definitely if you're building the van out to be a mobile or a remote work solution, remote office, then definitely that could have some win for you. So many people now are doing the cell phone boosters, the Starlink antennas, the Wi-Fi hotspots, using their cell plan. But if this is important to you, it is. Most of my clients, it's not. So I haven't seen too much pull there. Driver assist technology. So this is all standard stuff. And then looking to have your motor home or transit trail van serviced. This is actually one thing that I think is a huge win for Ford over the ProMaster and the Sprinter is just access points. So I'm pretty sure almost all Ford dealers can work on the Transit, and there are a lot of Ford dealers throughout the United States. So I think that is a huge win and pro for the Ford Transit. So it had nothing to do whether or not this is a Ford or the Transit Trail, but just a Transit Pro in general is that I think it's going to be easier to find parts for and get service. So that's, so Ford Transit Trail, I think it looks awesome. It's compelling. I hope some of these things are available to us for clients that don't buy the Trail, but I have a feeling if you want that wider look and you want that 3.5-inch body lift, we're going to have to get that through Ford. As far as some of the options go, most of those are pretty easily found. So really, to me, the Ford Transit Trail is all about the body lift, the track width increase, and that's about it. Everything else we can do pretty easily. Any upfitter should be able to do for you pretty easy. But I think it's awesome. I think it's going to look good, and I'm sure it's going to be popular. If I had the money, I would buy it from Ford, and then I would build it here and sell it as a spec van for sure. If if any of you want me to do that for you, please let me know. We would love to get one of these from Ford and then give it a really cool build out, because I think it would be a really good looking van. I like the aggressive stance, so huge win I think as far as the looks go and the aesthetic. But I don't know how much of a cost that's going to carry, and I don't know what the availability is as well. So that's another thing that I'm still waiting for Ford. I'm rooting for them to get ahead of their production, get ahead of demand, so that we can start having an easier time getting these transits through here. Because if we could, we would, and we would love to get to turning these guys out, because it is a good solid van. I love the engine. I love the van itself. Just gobbles up the miles, and I think again with this lift package and width and look, I think it's gonna be hot. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you like this. Didn't like it? I'm up for anything. I hope you all are well, and I can't wait to hear from you. And better yet would be seeing you out there in the wild. So cheers to you. Later.